I used to think monsters looked obvious, that you could spot one in a crowd, sharp teeth, dark eyes, some warning carved into their smile. But the man who ruined everything for my family didn't look like that at all. He looked like stability, like safety, like the kind of man you thank for showing up. His name was Gregory Holt, though he told everyone to call him Greg. My mom met him 3 years after my dad died. I was 17 then, old enough to understand grief, but not old enough to imagine she'd ever find someone new. When Greg came into our lives, he didn't barge in. He drifted in like smoke. Polite, soft-voiced, carrying flowers. He'd fix broken cabinet hinges, mow the lawn, bring my mom coffee in bed on Sundays. He asked about my classes, my art portfolio, even helped me fill out college scholarship forms. At first, I liked him. At first, we both did. Mom smiled again, the kind of smile that looked like it hurt at first, like her face had forgotten how. But people who want control never take it all at once. They take it slowly, kindness by kindness, until you can't tell where gratitude ends and dependency begins. By the time they got married, Greg had taken over the bills, the passwords, the mailbox. He handled the mortgage payments to make life easier. Mom called him her rock. I called him Mr. Spreadsheet. He kept every receipt, every invoice, every digital trail locked in his laptop. I remember the first time I noticed something off. It was a small thing, a phone notification that popped up on his screen one night while he was helping me with my FAFSA form. I saw the preview flash for half a second. Thanks again for the transfer, Ava. He minimized the window so fast I almost thought I imagined it. I didn't say anything. Maybe I was scared to. But that name, Ava, stuck in my mind. The next few weeks, I noticed other things. His phone face down always, late-night work calls that sounded like laughter on the other end. My mom asking why he withdrew cash from their joint account, and him replying, "It's for your birthday surprise, sweetheart." Her birthday came and went, no surprise. The thing about gaslighting is, once you've seen it, you start seeing it everywhere. It's like learning the language of manipulation. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to be wrong. But then came the afternoon that sealed it. Mom had asked me to move some of her savings into a new account, just to keep it separate, she said, because Greg handled everything and she liked having a little independence. She gave me the login information, and when I opened her banking app, I froze. Transfer history, $2,500, then $4,000, then another $1,800, all to the same account name, Ava L. Duran. The memo line on one said, "For rent, don't worry, I got you." My stomach flipped. I scrolled further. There were messages in the notes section, things like, "Miss you already," and "This will hold you over." It wasn't just cheating. It was betrayal with my mother's money. I didn't cry, not right away. I just stared at the screen, letting the numbers burn into my eyes. Then I opened my laptop and started screenshotting everything, every transaction, every date, every message. I didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing for certain: I wasn't going to tell him. Not yet. Because unlike him, I knew the value of patience. I spent the next week gathering proof, quiet, methodical. He'd bragged once about how no one could get into his laptop because of fingerprint security, but he forgot about his email. I'd watched him type his password enough times to memorize it. What I found there made my hands shake. Dozens of messages between him and Ava. Most were flirty, but some were logistics, wire transfers, hotel bookings, one email where he sent her my mom's driver's license number for a lease application. He was building a second life, and he was using my mother's identity to fund it. That night, I sat at my desk until 3 a.m., reading through every message, labeling each screenshot. When I was done, I zipped the entire folder and sent it to my mom's lawyer, the one she'd hired years ago to handle my dad's estate. The email subject line was simple: "You'll want to see this." Then I closed my laptop and waited. The next morning, I made coffee like normal. Greg was at the kitchen island, reading the paper. He smiled at me, all casual charm. "Morning, kiddo." I poured my coffee. "Morning." He didn't notice how my hands were steady now, how I wasn't afraid anymore. That afternoon, Mom came home early. I could tell she'd been crying, but her eyes were dry now, the kind of dry that means the storm's over and the wreckage is all that's left. She looked at me, then at Greg, who was sitting on the couch watching a game. "Greg," she said, voice even, "we need to talk." He muted the TV. "Sure, honey, what's up?" She pulled a manila envelope from her bag and set it on the coffee table. "You can start with explaining these." He opened it. Receipts, screenshots, printouts of wire transfers. His face changed color so fast it almost made me dizzy. "Where did you get?" he began. "Doesn't matter," Mom said. "The lawyer has everything." He laughed then, short and brittle. "You don't understand. It's not what it looks like." She tilted her head. "It looks like you've been sending my money to your girlfriend, Greg, using my savings. So please, enlighten me." He started pacing. "She needed help, okay? She was going through something." Mom cut him off. "Don't insult me." He turned to me then, as if I were supposed to save him. "You told her, didn't you?" I met his eyes and said nothing. Silence stretched, thick and electric. Then he said the words that told me I'd won. "You have no idea what you've done." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. Mom sank onto the couch, her face unreadable. Then she whispered, "Thank you." But I wasn't done yet, because men like Greg don't go quietly. He spent the next week trying to spin it. He called her, sent flowers, even wrote a long email claiming Ava was blackmailing him. He said he was protecting Mom by sending her money. But Mom had already filed for divorce. The lawyer filed an injunction to freeze their accounts. Greg was locked out of the house, the finances, everything. That should have been enough. It wasn't, because he still had one thing left: reputation. Greg cared more about image than anything: the perfect husband, the provider, the man who rescued a widow and her daughter. So I planned something that would destroy that, not through lies, but through his own truth. It was Mom's birthday the following month. Greg's family, the Holtz, had already planned a dinner before the divorce filing. She wanted to cancel, but I told her to go. "I'll handle it," I said. She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "I trust you." The dinner was at a restaurant downtown, expensive, loud, full of clinking glasses and fake laughter. Greg was there too, wearing that same calm mask he always wore, acting like nothing had happened. When we walked in, his face flickered for a second. Surprise, then control. "Sarah," he said to Mom, standing up, "you look beautiful." She smiled faintly. "Thanks, Greg." I took my seat beside her, setting my phone on the table, screen down, Bluetooth connected to the restaurant's sound system. I'd asked the manager, a friend from my photography class, to let me test a slideshow before the party started. Greg toasted her with a glass of wine. "Here's to forgiveness," he said. I smiled. Actually, before that, I made a little birthday surprise for Mom. The lights dimmed slightly as I tapped my phone. The screen behind the table, a big digital frame that usually showed the restaurant's logo, came to life. At first, it was a photo slideshow. Mom, me, a few family moments. People smiled. Then, mid-slide, the images changed. Screenshots, bank transfers, messages, emails. Ava's face appeared. A selfie Greg had sent her, captioned, "Wish you were here instead." The table went silent. Someone gasped. Greg's brother said, "What the hell is this?" Greg stood up, voice sharp. "Turn that off." But my friend behind the counter didn't, because I'd timed it perfectly. Every slide changing automatically, each one worse than the last. The message about using Mom's savings for rent, the one with her license, the miss you text, every receipt, every lie. Greg lunged toward me, but Mom stood up. "Sit down," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. He froze. People at nearby tables were watching now, phones out, whispering. When the final slide faded, the screen went black, replaced by white text I'd added myself. "Happy birthday, Mom. You deserve better." I looked at him then, directly. "She spent years building a life out of loss, and you tried to steal it. Not just her money, but her peace. You used her love like it was a bank account." He said nothing. His face had gone pale. Then he tried to recover, the way manipulators do, turning to his family, voice trembling. "This is all out of context." But his mother, a quiet woman with silver hair, said softly, "Gregory, please stop." He sat down. The restaurant manager turned off the display. The lights came back up. And in that moment, the air felt clean, like we'd opened every window after years of suffocation. Mom turned to me, eyes glistening. She whispered, "You didn't have to." "Yes," I said, "I did." We left before dessert. Outside, the air was cool, the kind that smells like rain and asphalt. Mom and I stood by the car for a long time, saying nothing. Finally, she said, "You're braver than I ever was." I shook my head. "No, you just forgot how brave you used to be." That night, Greg's family group chat exploded. His sister texted Mom an apology. His job called the next morning. Apparently, one of the guests at the restaurant posted the slideshow online. He didn't just lose his reputation, he lost the version of himself he'd spent years manufacturing. I didn't feel guilty, not even for a second. Because when someone poisons a home, the cure isn't kindness, it's truth. Mom finalized the divorce 2 months later. She sold the house, moved into a small place near the coast. I helped her unpack, one box at a time. One night, we sat on the porch drinking tea, the sound of waves in the distance. She looked at me and said, "You know, I always thought love meant trust." I smiled faintly. "Maybe it means not having to double-check the math." She laughed, a real one this time, the kind that vibrates in your chest. I started college that fall, majoring in digital media. I told my friend the story, not the gory details, just the outline. And one of them said, "You're ruthless." Maybe, but I think the truth is simpler. I learned early that silence is a weapon, but so is evidence. And when someone builds a life out of deceit, the cleanest revenge isn't destruction, it's exposure. Greg thought he inherited control when he married my mom. He thought her grief made her easy to manipulate, that I'd be too young to notice. But what he didn't realize, what people like him never realize, is that daughters pay attention. We learn faster than they think. We remember everything. And sometimes the inheritance we pass down isn't money. It's truth. I used to think monsters looked obvious. Now I know they hide behind smiles, bank statements, and pet names. But the beautiful thing about truth is, once it's played out loud, it can't be unheard.
You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.